Now let's go to the next slide now. Let's talk about marriages. So we move from dating and courtship, right? We are going to marriages now. What is marriage? Who can answer it? What is marriage? Yes, what is marriage? Yes.
Marriage is a union between a man and a woman, two adults or two male and female coming together to agree that we want to live and spend our lives together.
Perfect. That is his definition of marriage, and it's not wrong at all. So marriage can be defined the way he did it. What I will add is the word voluntary union. Okay, it is a voluntary union for life of one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. In other words, one woman and one man voluntarily by themselves agree to be together for life without everyone else coming in between them.
Yes, so this marriage definition is only applicable to what we call ordinance marriages that are also called Christian marriages. Now, the definition, of course, would have made some exceptions, like marriages that are contracted under the custom of a particular community may not be part of this definition, because it's not about one man and one woman, it's about one man and many women in some instances for customary marriages. So the definition is focused on ordinance marriage as we know it, and there are also a number of exceptions to the applicability of the definition, because you may also find out that, for example, when they're dissolved, then the issue for life is no longer there. But just for purposes of the video, this definition is a good one that can work for us, that we can use to understand the concept. So thank you, and please enjoy the video back.
Are we together? So they will say that, as far as I am concerned, I am for you and you are for me, and we'll be like that to each other for life, and it's voluntary. Our parents are not forcing us to go and marry. Our church is not the one forcing us to go and marry. Our neighbors are not the one forcing us to go and marry. We have ourselves decided that we are okay with each other, we can marry, and we will be like that for life, to the exclusion of what? Everyone else. Remember, it is what? For life. That's why you come to the altar and say, for better, for worse. It's for life. So if life is no more, then it has ended. Okay? Now, to marry in Ghana, a person must be at least 18 years of age. So when you are 70, you get pregnant, you are not qualified to marry. If you go and marry, that marriage will be considered void. It will be unlawful, it will be illegal. Don't carry pregnancy as a reason to marry. You will see some in your communities a lot. The girl got pregnant, and because of the pregnancy, the parents say, go and marry Kofi Mensah who impregnated you. So they get married when they are 16 years to a man who is say 25 years. It is invalid. It is wrong. So pregnancy is not a condition to marry, but you must be in this age bracket, at least 18 years. Like I said earlier, when you are between 18 and 21, what do? You receive a written consent of your parents before you can marry. Okay. Now, persons below 18 years do not have the legal capacity to lawfully marry in Ghana. They cannot marry. Even if they do it, the law will consider it to be no marriage. Are we together? It is also a crime. You can go to prison for it. If you are a child and you are married, or you have been forced by your parents to marry, even though you are a child, it's an offense in Ghana. So please know that. Okay. Now, so how do we define marriage? Let's talk about the types of marriage we have in Ghana. There are 3 types of marriages recognized by law in Ghana, and they are all valid marriages. The first one is called marriages that are contracted under customary law. Okay, what you often hear as traditional marriages. You are an Akan and you come from a typical Akan zones or areas, then Akan customs will apply to your marriage if you want to do customary law marriage. Okay, the marriage you now contract under Akan customary law is called customary law marriage. Are we together? That's the first type. The second type is what we call marriages contracted under the ordinance. We will talk about them in detail. I've just mentioned them now. Marriages contracted under the ordinance are marriages that we call Christian marriages. Okay, they are called Christian marriages. They are the ones that you are supposed to marry one person as a woman and also one person as a man. You cannot have You cannot be a man and have multiple. We'll talk about them in detail, so let me not rush ahead. The last one is the marriage contracted under the Mohammedan law. It's the one mostly contracted by Muslims in general. Okay, so the three types of marriage we have: customary law marriage, ordinance marriage, and then Mohammedan marriage. Are we together? Perfect. Now, I mean, in the context of law, we call them as marriage under part 1, marriage under part 2, and marriage under part 3. Marriage under part 3 is the one we call the ordinance marriage. Okay, let's take them to detail. Now, customary law marriages. Now, this is a marriage contracted under the rules of custom that applies to the person based on where he comes from. If you come from, say, an Akan town, okay, the rules, the customary rules of Akan would apply to your marriage if you're having a customary law marriage. Maybe the Akans will say that to marry under our custom, this is what you have to do. Number 1, find a lady you are willing to marry. Go to the mother's house or the parent's house. Introduce yourself to them. If the parent accepts you, they will give you a list of things you bring. Go get those lists, bring them to the parent. If they accept it, they will tell the lady to go with you. Once you've done all of that, you have married. That is a customary law marriage and is valid in Ghana. Are we together? Maybe among the Ewes, they will say that before you can marry, first of all, come and show yourselves to us as a family. Let us know who you are as a lady and who the guy you want to marry is. When you are done introducing yourselves to one family, go and do the same to the other side. When you are done, later send your father and mother to come to the lady's family with some drinks. They should come to the lady's family with those drinks. When they come, we would accept the drinks and say that having accepted the drink, you guys can now go and start preparing to get married. So we'll give you a list of things you should bring before you can marry our girl. So they'll give you a list of things that they should go and buy and bring to the family. So you go and buy all those things and bring to the family. They will now allow the lady to go with you. And that is marriage. It's concluded. No wedding. Customary law does not know weddings. Are we together? That's why some of us, our parents, they never had wedding. There was not even a ceremony for the marriage, but they are married. Okay, their marriages most often than not are customary law marriages. So that is an example. The common ones we see are mostly the ones among the Ewes, the Fantis, the Gans, and maybe the Akans, I should say. They are the common ones. They have their own practices that determine the rule by which you marry if you want to marry under the customary law. Are we together? Okay. Now, but what you realize is that there are, can we go to the next one? Okay, yeah, we're here. There are key requirements that you must meet before you can marry under any of the customary laws in Ghana. All of them have this common requirement. The first one is that the man and the woman must agree to live together. That's the first requirement. So start first with the parties themselves. The man and the woman must first agree that we want to live together. What it means is that not that the family of the woman would agree that the woman accepts the man, but the woman herself is not willing to, then that will not make it valid. Are we together? First, the two of them must accept. Secondly, the man's family must consent to the marriage. If the family does not consent to it, you cannot have a valid customary marriage. Are we together? The next one is that the woman's family must also consent to the marriage. And last but not the least is that the man and the woman must engage in a sexual activity after the marriage. Remember, in law, if you have a marriage ceremony without a sexual intercourse, we call it that the marriage has not been consummated, and it can be declared to be invalid in the future. That's why you don't marry somebody and the next day the person have not slept with you, so to say, and he traveled outside the country for many years. The marriage is void. Society has programmed things such that people should have freedom of sex in marriage. They don't marry to not have sex. So if you marry and not having sex, in fact, the first sexual intercourse is what the law calls consummation. If it does not take place, there is a legal problem with the marriage. It is what seals the marriage. Just take note of that. Okay, that is about customary marriages. Now, general features of these marriages are these. Number one, it is polygamous in nature. What does that mean? Polygamy has two types. A woman can marry more than one man as husbands. Yeah, it's allowed in some countries, but it's completely prohibited in Ghana. Then we also have where a man will marry more than one woman. That one is permitted under customary law marriages. So if you think that customary marriages or traditional marriages are so less expensive and you want to go for them, just know that this is the common feature you'll get. The man has the freedom to marry as many women as he desires. So if he tells you that, you know what, oh, let's not do church wedding, let's just do traditional, let's just settle there, and then you agree because maybe he says that if we are done with the traditional, whatever money we left, we could have used it, that would have used for the wedding, or use all of that to buy a car for you, and then you say, oh, this is a good thing, let's shun that wedding thing, let's do traditional, and then you get your car. But the problem is that if in the future you find out that he has gone to sleep somewhere else and has a child there, he can just tell you the next day that that is also my wife, and he is legally correct. He can go again to another person, he will tell you that is also my wife. He can have many wives. That is where some of you or us, your parents or fathers, will have multiple wives because they had a customary law marriages. So you just know what you want. Are you together? So number one is that they are polygamous in nature. Number two is that it is as valid as any other marriage. Whatever legal status a Christian or ordinary marriage has, that one also has that status. If the wife in that marriage will be treated as a wife, at the time of inheritance, they will treat the same person as wife also, in just like they treat the wife in their marriage. Are we together on that? Then number two, it is regulated by the laws of customary law. In other words, you contract it by following the customs of a particular community, and then if you want to dissolve it, you follow the customs of a particular community. Are we together on that? Okay, so that is about customary law. You know, what we do and call engagement, like traditional wedding, it is also customary law marriage. If you stop there, it's also marriage, but it's what? Customary law marriage. If at that engagement ceremony, you the man, you gave the woman a Bible and a ring, the law says that by introducing Bible and ring to a customary law marriage, you have promised the lady that you will change that marriage to ordinance marriage. If you don't change it to ordinance marriage, she can sue you for breach of promise to marry her under ordinance. Yeah. So if you do traditional wedding or traditional marriage, don't give the lady a ring and a Bible if you don't plan to do ordinance in the future. Now you can actually do the traditional marriage and not give Bible and ring, and you will not do the ordinance. It will be fine until problems come to the marriage. That lady will approach a lawyer and say, this is what is happening in my marriage. The lawyer will inquire about the kind of marriage you have, and then he will explain the law to you that, okay, if that was the case, that you had this kind of marriage, this is what the law says. The law says that if he gives you Bible and ring, do traditional marriage, he has promised that he will convert it to ordinance. So now that he has not converted it, your marriage is still customary law marriage. And if he has another woman somewhere, he is allowed to have that man, because you never changed the marriage to ordinance. But you can sue him for breaching the promise to convert it to ordinance. The lawyer will tell you the advice. Now I will get to explain again ordinance marriage. You will appreciate it. You can actually have ordinance marriage without the customary marriage at all. In other words, you can have a church wedding without having traditional wedding. I'm just telling you what the law requires of you. When we start talking about ordinance marriage, the one that consists us in church, But this one is just give you knowledge so that you know how best to approach things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is it not that the customary ones are the ones we should take it to court for documentation, but
The court one, the ordinance one.
ordinance one, yeah.
Yes. So
I don't understand.
the customary one, like I'm trying to explain, it is like a traditional marriage. Traditional law, okay, doesn't deal with writing. It deals with oral evidence. Your father, mother, and family members were present and it happened. That is the end. Nobody is writing anything. So no documentation required for the court one. For the customary marriage, I'll give you 2 examples. This is how some communities contract customary law marriage. You have a girlfriend, and by reason of you two being bad boys and girls, you had sex together while dating, and there was pregnancy. You carry Fanta, Coke, and other drinks to the lady's family, and then you tell the parent that I am the one who impregnated this girl. I take responsibility for the pregnancy. They say, okay, we have seen you, you are a gentleman, you look fine, you are working, you seem to be a good person, we are okay. Accept our daughter as yours. End of marriage. Yeah, it is marriage and it's valid. You don't need any documentation for that one. And some of us here, that is what our parents did. Just that now it's been many years, so they don't even tell them how they got married. The another way is that you met the lady, you want to marry her, and you send drinks to the family to go and ask about her. Oh, is she single? Is she available to be married? And they will tell you, yes, she's single. And you say, okay, I want to marry her. And then you send drinks there, they accept the drink. And they will ask you to pay some money and give some to the brother, the sister, the uncles. You pay all of those ones. They say, okay, carry go. Marriage has ended. Customary marriage is concluded.
Make it legal.